Since its completion for the 1889 World's Fair, the Eiffel Tower has mesmerized millions as an enduring emblem of Paris and a monument to human ingenuity. Yet behind its familiar facade as a beloved icon, the tower harbors a wealth of little-known secrets. Not the original designer. Although the Eiffel Tower bears his name, Gustave Eiffel was not actually the original designer of the famous structure. The initial drawings were conceived in 1884 by two of his employees, engineers Maurice Koechlin and Émile Nouguier. The two men had honed their engineering skills working together on major bridge projects across Europe before joining Eiffel's firm. When crafting their vision for a centerpiece of the 1889 World's Fair, the two drew inspiration from the graceful curve of a bicycle chain for their iconic tower design. However, Eiffel was initially skeptical of the unconventional plan featuring open latticework. To refine the aesthetic, Eiffel's architecture firm brought in another employee, Stéphane Salveste, to add embellishments and lend the concept more artistic appeal. Salveste contributed the curved arches at the base, lending a lighter impression to balance the mighty wrought iron framework. Together, their engineering achievement would become a symbol of French innovation for the World's Fair. Paris art community vilified the Eiffel Tower design as an eyesore. The Eiffel Tower design immediately sparked controversy among Paris's art community. Many revered artists and writers viewed the monumental steel structure as out of place in the picturesque cityscape. They considered Eiffel's plan vulgar and feared it would tarnish Paris with a grim industrial mood. A group of critics, including famed novelist Guy de Maupassant and playwright Alexandre Dumas, published an outraged open letter in 1887 condemning the tower as a hateful column of sheet metal with bolts. Others called it a metal asparagus and a gigantic black smokestack. The protest against the Tower of Monsieur Eiffel claimed the ridiculous tower dominating Paris would humiliate the rest of the city's architecture. Eiffel fired back, defending the tower's immense intricacy and how its form honored the laws of equilibrium and resistance. As an expert engineer, he asserted the tower would have its own beauty, displaying the glories of modern industry. Even after the tower's completion, it soon faded as the landmark gained acceptance and proved its worth as a triumph of engineering. Eiffel saved the tower from demolition. The Eiffel Tower was only permitted to stand for 20 years after its completion in 1889. Eiffel signed an agreement with the city to keep it intact until 1909, when they would demolish the temporary structure and sell it for scrap metal. But Eiffel was determined to save his magnificent creation. In 1898, Eiffel installed an antenna on the tower to experiment with a new technology. After observing inventor Guglielmo Marconi's early radio experiments, he began conducting radio transmissions that could be received miles away. Eiffel then persuaded the French government that the tower could be strategically valuable for long-distance communications. The city of Paris extended its lease until 1919, and the tower eventually proved indispensable when it intercepted critical enemy radio messages during World War I. By the 1920s, the once controversial landmark had become deeply beloved as a symbol of Paris and crucial for radio and later television broadcasts. A clandestine bunker lies concealed under the tower's southern footing. Beneath the Eiffel Tower's southern footing lies one of its most intriguing secrets, an underground bunker dating back to 1906. Eiffel granted permission for a clandestine bunker to be constructed under the tower as a laboratory for enigmatic experiments. The discreet entrance near Avenue de New York went unnoticed by most Parisians at the time. During World War I, the French military converted the bunker into a radio post for intercepting enemy communications. Soldiers operated wireless transmitters and receivers deep below the well-known landmark to gather intelligence. Later, the bunker served as a sanctuary from air raids and street fighting when Paris fell during World War II. Over 100 years after its conception, the antiquated subterranean rooms remain largely intact. The time capsule still contains simple wall messages etched by bunker occupants many years ago. Though public access is limited, visitors can catch a glimpse of this fascinating vestige of the tower's past military applications. The tower pays tribute to 72 of France's most esteemed scientists. Encircling the Eiffel Tower's first level, just above the entrance arches, are the engraved names of 72 revered French scientists, engineers, and mathematicians. Eiffel opted to immortalize these men around the base as a tribute to France's legacy of advancing science and technology. The list includes chemist Joseph-Louis Gay-Lussac, microbiologist Louis Pasteur, and physicist André-Marie Ampère. Sophie Germain, who broke gender barriers in mathematics and physics, is the lone woman honored. Eiffel proclaimed that the names would, quote, call down through the centuries the maledictions of all lovers of the picturesque and the beloved traditional. The subtle engravings were painted over in the early 1900s, but restored and re-gilded in 1986. Eiffel's private apartment offered scenic views and lab space. Gustave Eiffel reserved an apartment near the top of his iconic tower to entertain prominent guests. Located below the upper observation deck, this private space provided spectacular views across the Paris cityscape. Eiffel welcomed notable visitors like Thomas Edison to socialize within his personal sanctuary high above the Capitol. The apartment also served as Eiffel's secluded office and laboratory. Here he conducted barometric pressure and wind resistance experiments to better understand the tower's structural workings and inform future engineering feats. Preserved artifacts allow modern visitors to step back in time to Eiffel's era when touring the former apartment. While the furnishings themselves are replicas, the heart of Eiffel's veritable eyrie remains intact. The lifelike wax models of Eiffel and Edison hint at the lively discussions of science and technologies that once filled the room. Painting the tower by hand takes 25 months and 60 tons of paint. While the Eiffel Tower appears ageless, keeping its intricate ironwork pristine requires regular upkeep. Every 7 years, a team of painters devotes over 2 years to completely repaint the 10,000-ton structure by hand. For each fresh coat, painters use 60 tons of paint specially formulated to protect the steel from weathering. To ensure uniform coverage, they apply 3 separate shades from dark to light as the tower rises. This gives the tower its signature graduated finish. No section is out of reach for the rigging professionals who scale and scrape the tower's 18,000 metal parts. Painting proceeds methodically from the base up during optimal weather conditions. Rotating teams work year-round to maintain the tireless cycle of preparation, paint application, and drying time. The tower's iconic color would fade without this diligent effort, repeating every decade. A flawless paint job keeps the landmark shining brightly for the next 7 years. Now it's time to hear from you. Were you aware of any of these secrets behind the Eiffel Tower? Let us know in the comments section below.